In the Egyptian seaside town of Sharm el-Sheikh, leaders from the European Union and the Arab League are holding a summit together for the first time. The two-day meeting seeks to strengthen ties between the EU and Arab nations. Egyptian Council President Donald Tusk and Saudi Arabia's King Salman arrived on Saturday. German Chancellor Angela Merkel will also take part. Priorities on the agenda include security and migration. The leaders are also expected to discuss the Middle East peace process as well as conflicts in Yemen and Syria. And for more on this, I'm now joined by our correspondent Georg Mattis in Sharm el-Sheikh. So Georg, this is the first meeting of these two very significant institutions. What are we expecting out of this, and why is this happening now?
It is indeed, and leaders have set themselves a rather relaxed schedule, a very broad agenda of topics here. We're looking at all sorts of topics, everything from environment, climate, but also trade, the EU being the most important trading partners of the states of the Arab League. And so one diplomat said to me here in Sharm el-Sheikh, the idea is to start a multilateral process in a time when Donald Trump is putting that issue of multilateralism very much into the critique.
Interesting. So of all of those issues that you just named, what do you think are the ones that are the most pressing that they're discussing?
I think really pressing issues also in terms of migration, which is also a key issue here at this summit, is really addressing the civil wars that are taking place within that Union of Arab States. And most of all, you have Syria, a war that apparently is partly won now by Bashar al-Assad. And leaders here of the EU, but also Arab leaders will have to think about how they deal with this. And then you have conflicts, civil wars in Yemen, but also unstable, very unstable situation in Libya, also big issues here. And the question, of course, for European leaders is how do they deal with these issues and how do they deal with illiberal and non-democratic elected counterparts here? That was a question put to Jean-Claude Juncker, the head of the European Commission, and he said he has a headache talking to these people, but he said if that be the criteria, his week would end on Tuesday, so he said, we really have to talk, and this is the place to do it.
Now, since you mentioned Donald Trump and this question of multilateralism, there's also this issue of the Arab League, which seems to be very divided around questions like the wars in Syria and the wars in Yemen. That can't make this easier.
No, of course not. It's a divisive issue, but that is the purpose of the exercise here, really. Also, when it comes to migration policy, I mean, the EU really hopes to start a dialogue here also on this divisive issue of migration. And many have said part of the reason the summit is taking place here is because Egypt has done a great job in stopping illegal migration coming to the European Union. And so this is a way of the EU also of saying thank you for this excellent work in that particular case.
Georg Mattis in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, where the Arab League and the EU are meeting for the first time. Thank you so much.